Good morning, everyone. We have got something very exciting planned for the day. We are doing laundry at our cabin. It's laundry day. And we figured we wanted to bring you guys along. We actually have something very new and exciting in our lives that we wanted to share with you. But first, I want to go over how we've done our laundry in the past. We've been living here for a little over 2 years, and we have predominantly been doing our laundry off-grid, so to speak, or doing it here at our house. And we're also going to be making some detergent. You may have seen a previous laundry video where we showed you our setup. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of how we have been doing it and just kind of what worked and what didn't work. So the first two things that we got when we moved here, or soon after moving here, was this plunger, which is a clothes plunger, or I think it's called like a breathable plunger. So it's specifically meant for doing clothes. And then we also have a clothes wringer over here. These two items may be self-explanatory. This is what actually like plunges your clothes and cleans them, and this is the part that wrings it. You know, we weren't going to have a dryer, and we don't have a dryer, so we utilize our wood stove and the warm temperature of the house, or the summer temperatures outside in the summer, to dry our clothes. You may be interested why we would ever want to do laundry this way. It seems very labor intensive, and just, I mean, why would you not just have like a washer and a dryer? Well, we have a smaller solar system here, and we try to limit our energy needs, so that was kind of out of the question to have a big appliance like that. Also space, we just do not have space for that, and if you put anything outside, it freezes in the winter all winter long, so that was also not an option for us. This just seemed like a fail-proof way to do laundry, save money, you know, cheaper than the laundromat, and also just more at our convenience. We could do it when we wanted to. Although I'm super thankful for laundromats, they're just a little bit costly in my opinion, which I understand. I'm just trying to be a little more frugal. So we try to limit how often we go there. We do go to a laundromat occasionally to take some of our really big items in, or if we're just so busy and we just haven't found time to do laundry. We probably do laundry maybe every other week here. I'm going to jump right into the setup that we have with these two items and how we use this to, or have used it to do our laundry in the past. So we need 2 bins. We'd have 2 bins for the clothes, and you'd set up this wringer on a frame. That way it's nice and sturdy for when you're cranking it to wring the clothes through. So you put all your clothes, your dirty clothes, in one of these bins. You put all your soap, your warm water, whatever temperature water you're using, and you let it soak for a while. And then you put your plunger, and you know, simple, just keep plunging. Kind of just depends how long you want to do it for. The longer you let the clothes soak, the cleaner it will get. And we found that part of the process to be super simple actually. The next step is to have your wringer set up, and you run the clothes through once, and you put it in a new bucket with clean water on the other side. So that's kind of like the rinse cycle of your washer machine. And you do the same thing with the plunger. You got to plunge that clothes, get it nice and clean on the other side, and then you're going to run it through the wringer again, just to a clean receptacle with no moisture in it, no water in it. Basically at that point your clothes is ready to be hung up and dried, since it's not actually that dry coming out of the wringer. Now we did this system for about a year. After the first winter we started to realize some things and make some changes, and honestly the second year we have not really utilized the wringer that much, and I'm going to jump into that in just a second. So let's go over some pros and cons of the clothes plunger and the wringer. For the plunger, I really have no complaints about. Eric has had to fixate this with some glue and a screw because it did, I think eventually it came off. So it's not the strongest thing in the world. We have had it for 2 years and used it. I really like it. It works really well. You let your clothes soak like I mentioned, and as long as you have enough water, it does do a good job. So that's probably the only downside, is you do need quite a bit of water, or a taller bin with less clothes to do a good job cleaning your clothes. Now as far as the wringer, if you have a good setup for it, an area that it permanently stays and you can really get the frame on steady, you know, on a steady surface, it's actually a really awesome thing. I mean, I think it could really work for a lot of people. It worked for us for a while. Probably the biggest complaint I could see a lot of folks having is that it doesn't actually dry your clothes that well. I mean, it doesn't dry it at all. It doesn't wring it really that much. So I would find I'd run our clothes through twice in order to get a lot of the water out, and a lot of our clothes would still be drip drying. It's not a huge deal to me because we'd hang them up in our warm cabin, and by you know, a few hours, we wouldn't have any issues with the dripping anymore. So that's something to consider, because the clothes really aren't quite dry when they come out of here. You know, even if you do it 2 or 3 times, you know, you're not getting something completely dry like you would out of a washer machine. We don't really consider this a downside, and that's because I'm extremely stubborn and like doing my laundry at home by myself at my own convenience. But definitely the energy, you could say that's a downside, because this is more time consuming than just putting your clothes in a electric or, you know, a gas dryer, and this just takes more energy, it takes more time. And I don't mind doing it, and I think a lot of people would find it convenient to do at home. In fact, I used to really enjoy laundry days, but this leads me to the main problem. And the main problem is that we live in Alaska and it gets very cold in the winter. I know that's obvious, but we like to do our laundry outside just because it's a little bit smaller in here and it can get quite messy. You know, you've got a lot of water sloshing and spraying and things like that. So we like to use this outside, and that is problematic because the water freezes. Even when we're doing laundry outside with hot water, it still freezes because it's so cold outside. And you know, that's definitely us trying to do laundry outside when it's just really way too cold. But again, that's where I found it just didn't work for me. In fact, the water would freeze on these roller bars and clothes wouldn't come through, and I'd end up kind of like tugging them and pulling them through, which was very problematic with stretching out our clothes. I don't think it was very good for the wringer itself. So what we have resorted to really for the last year is kind of not using this as much, or intermittently using it and just hand wringing the clothes. So Eric and I will hand wring our clothes, and of course that way it has a lot more water in it. So we'd set up a rack near our wood stove with a bin, and that would catch all the water, and then from there, you know, we could hang it in the house when it wasn't dripping anymore, and it would dry that way. So unfortunately, we really haven't been using this in the last 6 months or so. My opinion of this may be a little bit biased, but I actually think it's very well built. It really could work for a lot of people in the appropriate situation, especially if you had it somewhere where it was permanently set up. Because Eric and I are in this for the long haul to do laundry here at the cabin, we knew we needed just like a better solution. What we were doing really wasn't that great. And like I said, we were stretching out our clothes. It really wasn't very effective. And I think it really bothered Eric that our clothes was so wet. We never could really get a lot of the water out, so it wasn't dripping all over the house. We're now going to turn the camera over to what we have been talking about and something we are just so excited about. This is our new mini portable washer and spinner. And I'm going to be completely honest. We used this maybe a week and a half ago, and I just loved it. I did laundry all day. It was absolutely fantastic. So this is what we're going to be doing laundry with today, and we're going to talk all about it and show you guys how it works. You may already be familiar with these, and it's really straightforward. It has a little washer compartment. I think it's a little over 7 pounds capacity. I forget what the spinner is, but it's tiny. But after today, you will be amazed at how this thing works. And we have it on a bucket because it drains the water out. And we just have like a 5-gallon bucket right here, so we need it a little higher for gravity. Really simple setup that we have. And it's very lightweight. I'll just pick it up to show you. I mean, I don't even think that weighs 10 pounds. That doesn't weigh very much at all. Let's get some laundry detergent made, and then we are going to throw our first load in here. So I have been experimenting with laundry detergent and making some of our own, and this is the one that I've come to that I really liked. I found it online. It just works really well, and it makes your clothes smell pretty good. So you take a bar of soap. Pretty much any soap works. There are special kinds of soaps. I'm using this one that was gifted to us. It's absolutely lovely, actually. I think it has like coconut oil. It's just really nice fragrant soap for laundry. We're going to be using some borax, and we have super washing soda. I use a 50-50 ratio of that. And then I add some OxiClean, mainly for stains. I don't usually use that much of that. Now you'll find there's lots of different recipes online for laundry detergent, and like I said, again, this is just one I found that I really liked. I kind of customized the ratio to my liking. We make our own soap too. We have used all different kinds of soap. I just try to stay away from one that's really oily. I personally wouldn't use like one with lard in our clothes. So I'm gonna get that shaved. Oh gosh, that smells so good. It smells like laundry, clean laundry. So I am using about half of this bar, and I'm just gonna mix it. You can blend it, do whatever you want. I don't really care, honestly. It honestly, when warm water touches this, it dissolves, and that's really all I'm after. Other things we've tried using is we've used baking soda, vinegar. I don't know if I've tried peroxide, but I feel like the borax and the washing soda really works. And I do really like that it's dry. It works really well for me. And it's also extremely cost effective. You'll see that we really don't use much of this. This will do a lot of laundry. I'm making a lot of detergent right now. One thing I wanted to mention was soap berries. I have some soap berries. I bought these a while back, actually for hair needs and also for laundry, but I personally found that I didn't really care for them. I don't know why, for me, they didn't really work the way I had wanted them to. I wanted to mention it because they're really cool. They are a berry or a nut that grows that actually like lathers and has like soap qualities to it. It's very interesting. So we are going to try some of these today and show you guys how they work, and we will see how they work with the new portable washer. So we are ready to get started. I'm going to put some of this detergent in there. I'm probably going to use maybe about 2 tablespoons. That's just preference. So that's about how much I like to use. And it's time to fill this up. The first day that we tried this machine out, we found we were using anywhere from 4 to 5 gallons of water in this side. And we have a few different ways that we heat up our water here. So in the winter months, we utilize the wood stove. We try to heat water up that way. We also have a storage tank in the house that we fill from our well every few days. We have some tubing in here to our tankless water heater, which comes with the shower head. And the shower head is actually my main way of filling up this portable washer. That's what I'm going to be doing for the first few loads while the water on the wood stove heats up. I have a really long shower head, and I usually just put it in there. I personally like to use warm water when we're doing laundry. It just cleans our dirty clothes much better. And our water heater is in Celsius, so we usually go 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. I'm not actually sure what this is, but I think it was for some sort of detergent. So that's what we're going to be trying to put our soap berries in this today, and then putting it on top. We have 3 knobs on the washer. One is a timer for washing the clothes, one's a timer for the spinner, and one is kind of to set it to drain or not drain. And so right now we have it on not draining because we're filling it up. This little guy did not come with many instructions, but one thing I did read is you want to stay away from extremely hot water just because it's a plastic setup. So I don't keep it like scalding hot. I do, warm, maybe bath temperature. I'm going to start putting in our clothes because the clothes absorbs water and it just affects my volume in there. And so we're going to do lots of big things today, which is very exciting. This is a huge, not huge, but it's a big jacket. It's Eric's jacket. Believe it or not, I will probably be able to fit a few more items in there. I'm going to let that soak up the water first though. We're going to put 2 little items of mine. So this will all squish down actually and soak up the water, but what we found once it starts spinning is you really want to have a good ratio of water to clothes in there for it to do the proper job with its agitation. I'm going to add in 2 kitchen towels, and I think that's all I'm going to be adding to this load. So clearly it depends on what size items you're doing. If you're doing small stuff like socks and underclothes, you do lots of those. 30, 50, a lot of those. But if you're doing a jacket and a few bigger items, you can only do a few, and I can actually do a blanket in this too, which is very impressive. I turned off the water. This is the level I like it, and you're not supposed to fill it up completely full because when it spins, it does slosh around in there. There's actually a little hole back here, and that I like to keep the water from going in there. I'm fairly certain it can go in there and it just drains. I think that's connected to this part, but I just try not to fill it up all the way to that. We're going to get the lid closed and we're going to start the timer, but first we need to plug it in. Today we are not getting a lot of solar. I think we're only at about 5.5 hours of daylight during the day, and it's just overcast, and our battery system, although full, we're going to be doing a few loads of laundry, so Eric is going to get our generator started. Our generator's on and we're ready to plug in just a normal outlet. We have an extension cord over here. And I'm gonna set the timer, especially now that the clothes has had a little time to absorb the detergent and soak. We're gonna set it for 12 minutes. I usually don't go 15. I think 15 for me is like socks and really dirty items. I'm gonna open up the lid and show you guys what's going on. And she's spinning. You can tell it's all not very pretty in there anymore, really dark water. And it's so powerful that it actually does twist the clothes. If you do sheets or anything like that, it can entwine all your clothes. So I like to keep an eye on it. Personally, I think it's really fun. So the agitator goes one way for a certain time and then it stops and goes the other way. It's quite powerful for such a little machine, in my opinion. Now this was fairly hard for us to get shipped to Alaska. They don't usually ship big things like this, and they do come a lot bigger. We found ones online that were double, even more, bigger than double the capacity. So that may be something that interests you. For us, portability is crucial. We clearly are in our kitchen right now and our living room, so we need a machine that can be moved in and out, preferably. Probably not going to keep this outside. We're probably going to keep it somewhere inside. Figured I'd mention that when we got this, it came with hoses that you can, hook up to your sink if you have this somewhere permanent and you want to run water from your sink straight into the machines. Of course, the water is very unattractive, and that's just because of our clothes. We wear them a lot. In fact, some of our clothes gets worn for months before we wash it. So very, very dirty clothes. It's kind of really fun, like I said, to sit here and watch it. I kind of like to just sit here and grab something if it's heavy. Like I said, our clothes absorb so much more moisture when it sits longer. So sometimes they do add more water. I really like this system. It is so much easier than the way we used to do it. And in fact, I would sometimes, with our old system or setup, I would wash clothes in water more than once, which is not good. So this is a much better system. I added a little more water. Eric's jacket is a really dense jacket. It's heavy, and you can hear the agitator. If it has a hard time, it'll kind of click, most likely because it's just too heavy and too much in there. But I'm really precautious with this. We just bought it, and to me, it needs to last a long time. So I'm trying to take very good care of it. Having more volume of water helps it spin better. As you can tell, it's doing totally fine now. So we've got 3 more minutes. We have this gadget that our friend gave us, and it tells us how much wattage this machine is using. It's fluctuating as it's agitating, so in the 200 mark, went down there. Not bad. That's really not bad at all. We pay attention to our wattage here with our solar system and our inverter. Try not to max anything out. So it is all done. We are going to unhook the hose. I'm going to put it in our 5-gallon bucket. Like I said, it's good to know how much water you have in here because you don't want that to overflow. And I just turn this switch to drain. And we can tell our water's going down. We're gonna wait till it's all the way empty and do our rinse cycle. We're all done draining, and I'm gonna put the hose back up, and we're just gonna dump this in our sink. That's just what's easiest for me. I put the hose back down in the 5-gallon bucket, so it's gonna be ready to drain once we finish our rinse cycle. And so the clothes is in here. Gotta get my hose back in there, or my shower head, and I'm gonna turn it back on, turn the water back on so it fills up. So what we're mimicking here is the rinse cycle of a washing machine, kind of like our previous setup. We would run it through the wringer once and then put it in a clean bucket, squish it down again, clean it, and then run it back through the wringer again. And although this machine does not spin the clothes, doesn't get all of that water out, I found it to be very effective. This is definitely the cleanest our clothes has ever come out doing laundry at home. So we are ready to rinse this for our second time. Generally, I go for about 10 minutes. I go for a little less. I just found it doesn't need as much time. And again, this is just preference. It's totally your choice. You can run the timer twice. I found a lot of people online were okay doing that too. They'd run the first batch longer, and then the second time rinsing it, they do less time. Our rinse timer's done, and I'm gonna drain. And I'm also going to get the spinner open as well. It comes with this little plastic fitting that goes on the top. We're gonna take that out for now. And this thing is so cool. You don't have to wring out the stuff. In fact, I mean, you can, I probably will, but you don't have to do that. You can put it in there totally soppy and it'll get all the water out. The jacket's a little bit big to go in there with all this other stuff. The spinner works so much better when it's full. So let's see how this works, because there's only a few items in there. And you push down the lid and you put this back. But first, very important, I actually need to drain our 5-gallon bucket because there is a large amount of water in that too, and we will overfill if I don't do that. What I've discovered is that the middle selection switch can be on standard because the standard is what controls the washer, and so the spinner actually will just drain when you start the timer, so be aware of that. We're going to start the timer. It's going really fast now. You cannot lift the lid up, it will stop the process, so I can't show you guys what's going on in there. I'm extremely impatient if you couldn't tell, so I've set my timer for 3 minutes, and in fact I usually only do 5. It's something that has a lot of water, like a blanket or Eric's jacket, we're probably gonna go for 5. But this thing is wicked. I mean, it gets all of that water out. I'll show you guys when we're done. Takes a minute to stop spinning. And then we can get in there. And our stuff is like just crazy dry. I mean, it's not dry, but it just seems really dry. In fact, nothing we have ever pulled out of here has dripped. Not one little tiny drop. That's how dry it is. So we will be putting this aside and we're going to be hanging up our clothes once we get more of it done. Okay, now we're going to do the jacket. And I'm not going to squish any water out of the jacket because, like I said, this machine can do it on its own. I know it seems very full, and it is, but believe it or not, what I found is this thing works better when it's full because it just doesn't get out of balance. When you have a few things in there, it starts to spin and then it throws things to the side and it can't actually spin successfully. So this, even though it's totally cramped, should be fine. And we're gonna set this for 5 minutes. Okay, you can tell it's doing good when it gets that fast motion going. So the spin dryer does use less energy, 160 or so wattage, and it's for, you know, it's pretty consistent for however long the timer's going. So we're going to check the water. We may not need to let it go the full 5 minutes. And the hose, it's not really trickling anymore. There's really no water coming out, so I'm going to shave the last minute off of our dryer. It's crazy how dry it is. Totally dry. Again, it's not actually dry, it's just really dry. Generally, if our cabin's pretty warm and we put this on our second story, something like this done our old way would take several hours to dry, if not a full 24 hours, maybe even a little bit longer. We're finding this kind of stuff's drying like fast, within a few hours. Sometimes it's a little bit faster than that too. I wish I could show you guys how dry this is. We're getting started on our second load of laundry, and I already have the detergent in there. We're filling it up with water, and we are going to try using these soap berries in this load. That's what they look like, and pretty interesting. They actually, like I said, get very soapy and have kind of a pineapple, really sweet smell actually. So we're gonna just put 2 in there. The cool thing about the soap nuts is they last for a really long time. I have used them with our laundry, and you could just use them over and over again. And we're just gonna try and see if it works with this. In this load, I have a towel, like a big body towel, a small towel, and 1 fleece jacket. I may put 1 more item in there. I may just leave it as is. We're gonna see as it gets cooler. We're on to our third load of laundry. Eric has this filled up with some of the water on the wood stove. And I wanted to mention that the soap nuts did not stay in this little blue thing. So I'm not sure this will be very helpful for us. But they're not quite totally, I don't want to say activated, but they take a few times in hot water to start getting kind of that like lather texture. They work well once they get going, and you can use them a few times. I don't know if I'm going to use them because it just seemed a little bit inconvenient for how our setup is now. So I'm going to be putting some of this in there. I'm going to add a shirt, some pants, another shirt, some jeans, or pants, and I can definitely fit at least one more thing in there. Probably going to add even one more shirt and add a little more water. We're about to get our rinse cycle going, and I just wanted to mention that I have quite a few articles of clothing in there. I think it fits a really good size. It fits a really good amount for the size that it is, and the bigger one would obviously fit a lot more. Generally, if you run a full load in the washer, you have to split it into two for the dryer, which is no big deal, or for the spinner. Today, something we've noticed is that this machine does, because it's vibrating on some of the spinning cycles, it almost wanted to come off of our bin that we have flipped upside down. There's these little ridges, and it really needs to be on a flat surface. So we're gonna have to adjust that. Last time we did laundry, we had it on our table back there. All right, we are wrapping up our laundry. I ended up doing 6 loads today. I was only planning on 5, but it was just a good time to do it again, a good experience for me, because I realized that some of the bigger items I was doing today really needed to be washed by themselves. So that was good for me to know. But I am still really loving it. It's really exceeds my expectations for what it can do for being so small. These are Eric's pants, and they're Carhartt, so they're really thick material. This is what I was talking about. These kind of need to be washed on their own, and they're totally almost dry. One thing that's really nice about this is that you can actually run the washer and this at the same time. So I have my washer going, and then I'm also spin drying the last load too. I know I already said this, but most of the items I don't dry for the full 5 minutes. In fact, closer to the 3-minute mark is about what I dry our stuff at, and it comes out very dry. Well, we finished up, and this is what the machine looks like, all cleaned out. I just ran a little water through there. And I just wanted to mention we have a rag down because the machine won't spill water, but I spilt water, and I just felt like we should put some rags down. But the machine's cleaned up, and it's basically ready for storage, and it can wait until next time. And the last thing that I do is tilt the machine a little bit just to make sure it gets all the water out, but I think it's already got all the water out. So it may be easy to see why Eric and I are absolutely in love with this new machine, new add-on to our house. It's very practical and realistic for us. We had to run our generator today because of the conditions outside, but normally if this was a sunny day, we had longer light hours, or if it was summer, we would not need to do that. That's really nice looking forward from here out. And I know there's lots of different ways to accomplish doing laundry at home. We're gonna go ahead and link all this stuff in our description today, and some information on laundry detergent too, if you're interested at all. I did want to mention the cost of everything. So if I remember correctly, this plunger ran me closer to, I think, $30, and our Ringmaster clothes wringer was $160. So pretty expensive, but it's a really nice setup. And I mean, it's really still held up very well, especially if you're using it appropriately and have a nice sturdy frame for it or stand. And the portable washer was actually $150, so quite the steal in my opinion for that, and I just hope it lasts us for several years to know that we've kind of got our money's worth. I was actually very hesitant to buy that because I didn't really want to add on to what we have. I didn't really feel like it was necessary. Eric was really the one who researched it. We found a lot of positive feedback. People really liked it. And in fact, a lot of people were using it in situations that I didn't even think about. You know, someone had like a cleaning business and that was what they did some of their rags in. People who lived in apartments, it was pretty functional for them and convenient. Of course, doing laundry at home just is convenient. You don't have to go to the laundromat, and it also saves you money too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I have to hang up all the clothes that we cleaned today.